Okay, good morning everyone. Sa atin pong regular worship service ay tinatalakay po natin ang tungkol sa ating covenant. Tayo ay naroon sa bahagi na kung saan ay kailangan nating i-discuss ang about discipline. And we have discussed everything about discipline, what we believe and what we are embracing when we become members of the church. Doon sa discipline, nakita natin yung necessity of discipline and the way of discipline. Ito yung mga bagay na ating tinalakay. At malinaw po sa lahat ng ating pong discussion that the occasion for discipline is what? Sin. There could only be discipline, I am referring to corrective discipline when there is sin committed. Malinaw po yan sa mga passages commanding the church and individuals to exercise discipline. If your brother sin against you, or if someone commit a trespass, or if someone, sabi ni John, will ignore yung what we teach, meaning apostolic teaching, then yun ang laging sin ang involved. Sin as the only occasion. Hindi displeasure, hindi preference, but sin. And what is sin? The scripture, according to Apostle John, sin is the transgression of the law. So when we apply discipline, meron tayong dalawang hawak. Ang isa is the fact of the action, that an action was done. And then secondly, dala rin natin yung commandment or yung law that was violated by the action. Excuse me, that was violated by the action. So ito yung ginawa mo at itong sabi ng scripture that is condemning what you have done. Then we have a case of discipline. Sin should always be regarded as the transgression of the law. Mahalaga ito. Hindi ibig sabihin, you transgress the Constitution, you transgress you displease everyone, you disrespect. Hindi. It's always sin as proven by the law of God. Now, we are to look at one, kaya dinala natin ito sa Sunday school because we are to look at one particular issue that occasion discipline in some churches. Anong pakialam natin? Ibang church pa rin. Because we got involved in that dealing with sin, with the issue. So, for the enlightenment of the members, we will discuss this particular sin at kung paano ito dapat i-regard at pag sinabi ko yung sin that I am to bring to you today, alam niyo na kung anong ibig ko sabihin na we got involved. Ito yung occasion for discipline na nangyari at nangyayari, which is plagiarism. Plagiarism na can only na-accuse lamang ang isang nangangaral o nagtuturo sa isang iglesia, the sin of plagiarism. So ito po yung ating pag-aaralan ngayon. Now, for some preliminaries, plagiarism is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as presenting work or ideas from another source as your own with or without consent, without full acknowledgement. So, ito yung presenting work. Presenting work from another source as your own. Merong ibang gumawa ng isang trabaho at ipinresent mo as your own without consent or without full acknowledgement of who made the work. Gusto ko nakita, maganda rito na sinabi niya, without consent. Kasi merong lumapit sa akin na pastor, sabi niya, Pastor, napakinggan ko yung pinreach mo about membership as a covenant. Ngayon lang ako nakarinig noon, nagustuhan ko, ipapangaral ko, pwede ko bang i-preach doon sa isang seminar na gusto, na ini-invite ako sa isang conference. Sabi ko, oh, just go ahead. Sabi niya, I will make a full disclosure na ito ay galing sa iyo. Sabi ko, you know what? You don't have to do that. Sabi ko, hindi mo kailangan gawin yun. Mas magandang, mas magkakaroon ng authority kung basta just preach it. So, dito sa definition ng Oxford, hindi ito pasok as plagiarism. But also, Oxford says that this applies to text, data, code, illustrations, and even AI-generated materials unless authorized. So in other words, parang hindi kasama yung spoken. But our concern is, is it a sin to do that copying without consent? Is it in itself sinful to get another man's work or to use another man's work without consent and without acknowledging? Is it a crime? Is it an occasion for discipline? Yun po ang ating concern ngayon. Is it a crime? Is it an occasion for discipline? Now, plagiarism, to start with, is unknown until the 18th century. And that was with the rise of the copyright law. Hindi kilala yung plagiarism noon as an offense. Unknown in biblical times, and there is no teaching in Scripture criminalizing it or condemning it. Wala yun sa banal na kasulatan, and it was not practiced. On the contrary, yung practice of copying someone else's work without acknowledging was a common practice during the time, during the biblical times. Lagi kong sinasabi, halimbawa, meron tayong tinatawag na synoptic gospels. Ito yung Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Si Mark and Matthew, 90% of Mark appears in Matthew. Yung 90% of Mark appears in Matthew. 90%. Para bang ang talagang original ay si Mark at dinagdagan lang ni Matthew ng 10% yung isinulat ni Mark. 60% of Mark appears in Luke. 60% of Mark. Parang yung sinulat ni Mark nandoon sa Luke. So parang dinagdagan lang ni Luke ng another 40%. At 200 verses identical kay Matthew at kay Mark. So hindi lamang si Mark ang common, yung idinagdag nila ni Matthew sa kanilok, parang nagkopyahan din si Matthew sa kasi Luke, about 200 verses. At ano ko talaga. Okay. And 75% of Mark is found in both Matthew and Luke. Kaya ang paniwala ng marami, ang original talaga ay si Mark. Kasi halos buong book ng Mark, great percent ng book of Mark, makikita kay Matthew, makikita kay Luke. At yung inad nila ay, so somebody copied from somebody. At yung common sa kanilang lahat ay pinaniniwalaan na ito ay galing sa what they called as the Q source o yung extra na pinanggalingan na common sa kanilang lahat na pinagkopyahan nila. But there was no citation in any of these books. No citation. Another one is the Epistle of Jude. The entire Epistle of Jude is almost word for word similar to 2 Peter chapter 2. Either Jude copied from Peter or Peter copied from Jude. Now, why was it not considered wrong during that time? Ngayon, gawin mo yun eh. Palagay ko, mapupuno ang Facebook page mo ng mga bashings kapag ginawa mo ngayon. Why was it not considered wrong during their time? Because their concept during that time of literary work was the promotion of ideas or teaching. Yun ang kanilang concept. When I do some work, and I put that work either in writing, or I broadcast yung work na yon, my purpose, my intent, is to spread that idea, to spread that teaching. Kung ako ay isang philosopher who formulated a philosophy and would like to spread that philosophy. Remember si Zeno, yung naglalakad siya minsan doon sa Stoa, yung Stoa, yung covered walkway, naglalakad si Zeno, nagme-meditate siya, balik-balik siya, nakabuo siya ng philosophy which we now call the Stoic philosophy. Yung nabuo niyang philosophy, sinulat niya kagad. Itinuro niya sa ilang mga estudyante. Yung mga estudyante niya ngayon, nagsulat, ibinroadcast din, and so on and so forth. Kaya kumalat yung Stoicism o yung Stoic philosophy na hanggang ngayon ay niyayakap pa ng marami dito sa atin. In other words, kumalat. So a philosopher who formulated a philosophy would like that philosophy to spread, to be adopted by many. Same with the religious leader who comes up with his understanding of a religious thought. Nagkaroon siya ng vision o kaya nagkaroon siya ng understanding. Gusto niya itong ikalat. Gusto niyang sabihin sa lahat. And therefore, anong gagawin niya? Susulat niya at pag kinopya ng iba at kumalat yung at nakaratisan, uy, nakarating yan dito. Sino nagturo niya sa inyo? Ganon. Wow! Matutuwa sila. Kasi yung thought, yung idea na gusto nilang ikalat, ay kumalat. They were not after honor. They were not after glory, but only after the spread of the teachings that they want to promote. So much so that there was a practice then that we can consider as the exact opposite ng plagiarism. Sa plagiarism kasi kumuha ka ng gawa ng iba, eto dakilang ang ganda nitong naalala ko meron kaming isang estudyante na hindi pa yung GMA, before ng GMA. Pinagsubmit ko ng preaching. Binigay sa akin yung preaching. Sabi ko, ang ganda nito. Pero alam ko na eh. Ang ganda nitong preaching mong ito. Talagang very well organized. Gawa mo to? Yes, Pastor, gawa ko yan. Sabi ko, anong ibig mong sabihin? Pinadefine ko sa kanya yung mga words na sinulat niya ron. Hindi niya ma-define. Tapos sabi ko, ba't hindi mo ma-define kung ikaw may gawa? Sabi niya, actually, kinopya ko lang yan kay J.C. Ryle. Sabi ko, isang tingin ko pa lang alam ko ng J.C. Ryle yan. Kasi that was the time na J.C. Ryle yung aming meditation sa bahay. 1 year yung komentary ni J.C. Ryle na diniscuss namin. So, maganda yung sulat ni J.C. Ryle. Kukunin ko to, aangkinin ko to. Para ako ang sumikat para dito. Pero meron silang ibang practice tong araw. Susulat sila ng isang filosofiya o isang teaching that they wanted to promote, pero hindi nila ipapangalan sa kanila. Kukuha sila ng pangalan ng sikat na religious leader, sikat na philosopher. Yun ang gagawin nilang title. Kaya pag pinublish ko to, kakalat ito kasi, kaya ano ito? Halimbawa, yung Gospel of Thomas, kilala si Thomas doon. May gumawa, somebody made a literary form at tinawag niya itong Gospel of, hindi siya kilala, lagay ko Gospel of Thomas. Di kumalat ngayon yung Gospel of Thomas, hanggang ngayon nakarating sa atin. Yung meron pang Gospel of Peter, or yung Acts of Paul and Tekla. Si Tekla, isa po itong isang unang martyr na babae na sumikat noon, kaya ginawa nila ng gospel. or the epistle of Barnabas, the apocalypse of Peter. Gawa ito ng ibang tao, pero kinakabit sa pangalan ng iba. Bakit? Because their concern is not the honor. It's not to earn from their work. They want their idea. They wanted their philosophy, yung teaching, to spread, to be adopted by many. That was the concern ng mga writings nung araw. Kaya kung di ako naniniwala doon sinasabi nila that the book of Mark is actually the epistle of Peter, pero isinulat sa pangalan ni Mark dahil si Mark ang sumulat. I don't believe in that because Mark was unknown when that was written. And Peter was very much known. So walang gagawa ng gano'n na ililipat sa pangalan ng unknown yung otherwise gawa ng isang known preacher. So ito ang practice nung araw. Gagawa at ipapangalan because ang kanilang motibo, ang gusto nila, hindi pagkakitaan yung kanilang trabaho, hindi makagain ng honor, hindi makagain ng glory. Ang kanilang gawa ay ikalat yung inakala nilang tama. And that is a very noble purpose. Yun ang noble na gawain ito na sana nanatili sa puso at isipan ng marami na nagsasabing nagsusulat sila for the glory of God and for the spread of what is true. Now, papaano po na-develop into a crime at yung ating pangunawa dito sa pagkopyang ganito? It started in the first century Rome. While it was not considered a crime, not even wrong, but in a journal of a Roman poet named Marcus Valerius Martialis, doon sa kanyang journal, inaccuse niya yung poet na si Fidentinus of reciting his poems as if they were his own. Ni-recite nitong si Fidentinus, pero hindi naman niya sinabing mali, nagkasala ka sa akin. Sinabi lang niya doon sa kanyang journal. Ang sabi niya, he described the act as plagiarius, yun ang kanyang tawag, meaning kidnapper. Kinidnap ni Martialis yung aking poem at inangkin niyang kanya. In one of the short poem, Martial writes, "You recite my poem badly, Fidentinus, and call them yours. If you want them to be mine, send them back to me." Hindi maganda yung pagkaka-recite mo Nasira lang yung aking poem So, ang concern pa rin niya, yung peace at integrity ng what was written. But in spite of this, the practice of copying continued and was not condemned as wrong until the time of Shakespeare in 1580s to 1613. Ito yung time ng writing ni Shakespeare. Now, Shakespeare is considered as one of the greatest playwright and poet known for, pero kilala siya na nangungopia ng mga plots and even lines. Now, I have no authority to say this on my own, and I cannot really verify. Siguro si Deacon Jeremy can correct me or dahil siya ang sa literature. But Romeo and Juliet, according to the source that I read, was copied from Arthur Brooks' The Tragical Story of Romeus and Juliet, written in 1562. Yung Shakespeare condensed and dramatized Brooks' long narrative poem, adding depth to character and theme of faith. Yun ang talagang expertise ni Shakespeare. Mag-add ng depth, mag-add ng drama, matouch yung feeling. And pag Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare kagad yon. At marami ng mga movies na ganun yung plot. Although hindi sinasabing Romeo and Juliet ito galing. Yung King Lear, ang source daw nito ay si Geoffrey, how do you pronounce this? Monmouth or Monmouth? Ng Historia Regum Britanniae and Raphael Holinshed's Chronicles. Yung earlier play of King Lear in 1590 also influenced him. Shakespeare's vision added tragedy and bleakness which was absent doon sa earlier version. Othello was from Giovanni Battista. Julius Caesar and Cleopatra and Coriolanus ay galing kay Plutarch, Lives of Noble Greek. So, okay lang sa kanila yon. Nobody condemned Shakespeare in doing this. Kasi okay lang sa kanila yun eh. But things changed during the Renaissance. During the Renaissance, yung mga artists started to sign their work. Yung mga paintings, nagkaroon na ng signature ng mga artists. Yung mga poems, nilalagyan na nila ng kanilang pangalan. Dati pinapublish lang nila. They began asserting ownership of their creation. Note, not teaching, not philosophical work, but art pieces. Doon nagsimula. Yung mga poems, yung mga artwork, doon nagsimula yung strict na sa akin ito, wag mong aangkinin. Copying of teaching and philosophy was still a practice, but not yet widely condemned as crime. Kaya nga si Shakespeare, nagawa niya yun eh. Yun lang art pieces and artwork, yung kanilang iniingatan. And then comes the Enlightenment and modern era, 18th century, nabuo na yung mga copyright laws. Originality became a cultural ideal. Nandiyan na kasi yung mga printing press. Kailangan ng, at pinagkakakitaan na ng marami, yung gawa ng iba. Plagiarism was increasingly condemned as literary theft. 19th century scholarship, historians like Leopold van Rank insisted on rigorous citation and footnotes, cementing plagiarism as an ethical violation of academia. Kasi ang nangyayari naman, hindi lang sa kinokopya. Minsan, minobodify nila to a certain point that it changes the real idea of the original author. Kaya gusto nilang ingatan. Gusto nilang pangalagaan. Halimbawa, si Dr. Bob Martin. Si Dr. Bob Martin, ang alam ko siya lang ang modern Reformed Baptist that has written so much books. Naitanong namin sa kanya, bakit yung mga publishers niya, mga unknown publishers, hindi siya nagpa-publish sa Baker, hindi siya, yung mga kilalang publisher, sabi niya, kasi pag nag-try siyang mag-publish, at ang mga books siya talagang kilala, lalo na yung kanyang controversial book na yung about analyzing the NIV, na pinatawag pa siya ng mga organizers ng NIV, ng mga editor ng NIV. Sabi niya, bakit hindi sa kanila nagpa-publish? Kasi pagka pala pinablish mo sa malalaking publishers, napupunta sa kanila yung copyright yung right. Kaya pag gusto nilang titigil nila. Pag gusto nilang samahan ng iba, kaya na nilang gawin. Kaya ayaw yun ni Dr. Bob. Sabi niya, I am not for earning. Ito ay para sa spread of the truth. Kaya humahanap siya ng mga maliliit na mga publishers. Doon niya pinapublish. Para pagkakulang, ipapublish pa uli ako. Kasi naging hanap buhay yung truth. Halimbawa, we consider the American Standard Version as the best version. Yun yung best version kasi both yung pagiging accurate niya at yung degree of accuracy, yung least freedom na i-divide yung ASB, and also plus the use of the word Jehovah instead of Lord. Nagko-complain na si Banji sa akin lagi, nakakalimutan niya siguro yung sagot ko. Kasi when we have our devotion, pagdating ko sa word na Lord, L, capital O, and capital RD, binabasa ko yun sa devotion namin na Jehovah. Sabi sa akin ni Banji, ba't Jehovah lagi ang basa mo dyan? Di, pinaliwanag ko sa kanya. Hindi ko papaliwanag dito yun. Pinaliwanag ko sa kanya kung bakit. Because Jehovah talaga yon. But there was a story na hindi ayaw nilang i-pronounce yung Jehovah, kaya nilalagay nila Lord. But to distinguish it from another Lord, yung Adonai, yung L lang ang capital. Pero yung Jehovah na Lord, all letters are capital. Sabi ko, para masana yung mind ko. Sabi niya, kasi nadudulas ka rin sa church eh. Yung Lord, binabasa mo rin ng Jehovah, baka mamaya maguluhan sila. But anyway, yun ang accuracy ng American Standard Version. Pero anong ginawa ng mga publishers? Yung publisher, namigay sila ng libreng NIV. I was in college noon, bumabaha ng NIV, libre lang. Ang IVCF, libre ang pamimigay sa mga schools, libre lang. Nasanay yung mga tao sa NIV. Pagkatapos, inilabas nila yung mga commercial model nila ng NIV. Kaya ang nangyari, nagbilihan yung mga tao ng NIV. Kaya sumikat yung NIV, natabunan yung ASB at naglabasan pa yung mga ibang well-promoted versions. Kaya wala ka nang mabiling ASB. Nag-try ako magbili sa US pa yun. Nag-try ako maghanap. Nakuha ko lang mga maliliit, wala na yung malalaking version. So naging hanap buhay na, kaya strict na sila doon sa copyright ng kanilang mga artwork. So modern plagiarism, defined as unethical appropriation of words or ideas, arose alongside copyright law and the celebration of originality. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang yung work, pati yung taong gumawa nito, kailangang sumikat. Alam niyo ba yung sistema ngayon ng mga, kung ba't sumikat, halimbawa si Joel Osteen? May sistema yung mga publisher na titingin sila ng isang potential na tao na pwedeng pasikatin at magiging author ng mga books. Nakita nila si Joel Osteen, maliit na preacher lang. Ginastusan ng mga publishers, ginastusan siya para sumikat siya, yung mga promotions, lahat ng ito, sumikat ngayon si Joel Osteen. Tapos, susulat sila ng book, papangalan nila kay Joel Osteen, at ibebenta nila. So, susikat nga, dahil sikat na si Joel Osteen, ganun ang gagawin. And they did that to many, maraming mga preachers. And so, nagsimulang maging commercial yung idea, naging commercial yung kanilang tingin doon sa mga writings. But plagiarism as a crime remained in the secular works and never was considered in religious circle. In early period, where those who write and publish maintain the heart and motive of propagating the truth. Okay lang sa kanila. Okay lang sa kanila. I remember, meron kaming book sa Greek noong under Dr. Bob Martin. Siya yung aming teacher sa Greek. Merong isang book ng Greek na wala na siyang makita. Sabi niya, itong gusto ko sanang gamitin natin. Tapos tinignan niya, nakalagay dun sa labas, not to be copied in its entirety. Yung nakalagay dun sa labas. Not to be copied in its entirety. Kaya ang ginawa niya, pinakopya niya, pero yung forward sa kayo acknowledgement. Tapos dinistribute niya sa amin. Sabi ko, isn't this illegal? No, it says do not copy in its entirety. So I did not copy the forward and the acknowledgement. Yung pala na, sabihan din niya yung author, okay lang sa kanila. So ito yung idea. Ang modern definition of plagiarism is the presentation of another person's language, thoughts, or ideas as one's own original work. And it's only strictly observed in the secular world. I consulted my friend ChatGPT. He defines this as the act of presenting someone else's words, ideas, or creative work as your own without proper acknowledgement. It is considered a serious ethical violation in schools, journalism, and professional setting. So even in modern period, they emphasize that plagiarism is strongly condemned dun sa mga institution nito, schools, journalism, and professional setting. I remember one of my favorite commentator nung araw, nung wala pang internet, 3 dyaryo ang binibili ko. Yung Star, Inquirer, saka yung Malaya. 3 yan binibili ko lagi. Gusto kong mabasa lahat. Ang binabasa ko lang naman mga commentaries, yung mga commentators. Ang paborito ko noon si Larry Henares. Paborito ko siya kasi may madaling tandaan yung mga nababasa mo sa kanya. Merong humor lagi at champion siya sa insult and ridicule. Hanggang sa natanggal siya sa Star dahil may sinulat siyang article na copied entirely from New York Times. Yun ang naging ano niya. Although sinasabi niya, I have a photographic memory and sometimes I write not knowing na ang sinusulat ko ay galing sa iba. But anyway, doon lang mahigpit. You would notice they are confined in schools, journalism, and professional setting. Modern definition further tells us what constitutes plagiarism. Sabi ng modern definition, ito yung mga what constitutes plagiarism. Copying text that is using exact words without quotation marks or citation. Improper paraphrasing. Changing few words or sentence structure but not crediting the source. Katulad nung ginawa na yung speech niya, tandaan niyo si Senator Tito Soto, yung kanyang privilege speech sa Senate, nakita, kinopya sa speech ni Kennedy. Kaya lang tinagalog niya. Ang sabi ni Tito Soto, ba't hindi naman marunong mag-Tagalog si Kennedy bakit? Pero almost exact word for word. Or incorrect citation, giving false or incomplete source information. Kinote mo yung isang tao pero nilimit mo para nabago yung idea, that's plagiarism. Or, guilty ang maraming pastor and preachers, particularly yung mga bagong graduate ng seminaries, excessive quoting, relying too heavily on other words, even with citation. Marami na ako narinig na preaching ng mga bagong preacher nang idinagdag lang nila doon sa buong set nila is according to. And I quote, according to, and I quote. Pero halos yung buong sermon, quotation from somebody else's. Kasi parang naging in ka kapag mas maraming quotation, you would sound more scholarly. No, you're not. Hindi ka magsasound na scholarly. Pagka-excessive quotation. Or even, meron pa silang tinatawag na self-plagiarism. Reusing your own password without disclosure. Guilty. Common ito na may mga passage, may mga truth, katulad ni John about love. Paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi. Now, if I would repeatedly say, na-preach ko na to nasabi ko na to na-preach ko na to, nasabi ko na to, nawawala na ng force yung iyong sinasabi. At isa pa ay yung ghost written work. Pinagawa sa iba at ginawa mo. I know a Reformed Baptist pastor who is no longer with the Reformed Baptist. Huwag niyong hulaan kung sino. May tagagawa siya ng sermon. Nakausap ko pareho. Sinanong ko yung pastor. Sabi ko, si ganito pala ang gumagawa ng sermon mo. Masipag siya gumawa at maganda naman yung gawa niya. Kaya ginagamit ko. Pero hindi niya sinasabi kung kanino. At yung tinanong ko rin yung gumagawa, sabi naman niya, marami akong idea, kaya lang wala naman akong give sa preaching. Dibigay ko na lang doon sa pastor. So, also plagiarism is mostly confined in literary work to be published. There is not much talk on verbal communication or personal journalism. Personal journal, I should say. Pag yung journal mo, malaya kang magsabi rin, ikaw lang babasa nun. O kung mamatay ka, lungkatin yun, saka lang malalaman. O kaya, in preaching, napakahirap na lahat ng sasabihin mo, pagka lahat ng sasabihin ko, kailangan kong tiyakin na galing sa akin o hindi ito kopya sa iba, mas maraming time ang aking i-spend. More time than if I would research for the subject. Kasi marami na ako na-imbibe, marami na ako na sabi sa akin. So, hindi yun considered na plagiarism, especially in the Christian world. Halimbawa, sinong nagsabi nito? Tingnan ko malaman nyo. Teka. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose. Sino nagsabi nun? See? He is no fool. Alam na alam dito dapat eh. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose. Napabanggit ko ito lagi eh. Ha? Jim Elliot. Ito yung napatay doon sa isang Indian tribe. Niwanan niya lahat yung kanyang profession at nagpunta siya roon, sakay ng aeroplano, nagdadrop ng mga gamit, ng mga goods, pagkain doon sa most primitive na tribe. Kasi nung lumilipad pa lang sila, pinapana yung aeroplano nila. Pero nung nagbabagsak sila, sabi nila, okay na siguro. Pagbaba nila, paglabas sa aeroplano, tinadtad sila ng pana, patay sila lahat. Siya yung nagsabi nito. At ito'y sumikat dahil sa kanya. But if you would examine, that was taken from another man's work, kay Philip Henry, a Puritan preacher, who wrote hundreds of years before. Ang sabi ni Henry, he is no fool who parts with that which he cannot keep. And when he is sure to be recompensed with that which he cannot lose. Written 3 centuries before Jim Elliot. Pero mas sumikat ito kay Jim Elliot. Merong nagtanong kay, just recently lang, before namatay si R.C. Sproul, may nagtanong sa kanya, do you think you will be able to see Billy Graham when you get to heaven? Tinanong si kilala si Billy Graham kasi naging liberal yung kanyang thinking. Sabi ni R.C. Sproul, no, I don't. I don't expect to see Billy Graham. Nagulat yung mga tao. At ang sabi sabi ni R.C. Sproul, because Billy Graham would be so near the throne and I'll be so far, I don't think I will have the opportunity to see him. Sumikat siya ron, nalaman. Pero ang original noon ay galing kay John Whitfield. Nung tinanong si John Whitfield, kasi magkaibigan sila ni John Wesley eh. Pero si John Wesley, alam natin, yun ay Arminian to the bone si John Wesley at strong Calvinist naman itong si John Whitfield. Tinanong si John Whitfield, do you think you'll be able to see John Wesley in heaven? Inaasahan nila, atakihin ni Whitfield. Sabi niya, no, I don't expect. Nagulat yung mga tao at ito yung kanyang sinabi. Pero hindi siya sinait ni R.C. Sproul. So, it was okay. Hindi ito nangyari. Madalas akong nagsasalita. It's between the devil and the deep blue sea. Pero hindi ko sinasabi kung kanino ko kinuha yon. Is it okay then to use other works without citation? Okay ba? ito yung naging usapan namin. Ito yung actual na binato sa akin. So, okay na pala na pwede ako mangopya ng kahit kaninong work at gamitin ko. Okay na pala yun. If there is sin in copying somebody else's work, it's not in the act itself, but it's in the motive of the heart. It's not in the act itself. If yung act mismo, kasi if it's in the act itself, then let us condemn Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Let us condemn Jude. Let us condemn Peter. Because they copied and they did not cite yung kanilang pinagkopyahan. So it's not in the act itself. It is in the act. It is in the act. If intentionally, kaya siya nakopya, he wants the credit for another man's work. Gusto niyang hangaan siya, sumikat siya, it would be sin of stealing. You're stealing the glory that should belong to another. It is stealing. It is dishonesty for your own sake. Kaya it's wrong. Or, if the motive is to project self as good and talented, that will be good and talented to get admiration, it would be hypocrisy. You want to show yourself to be what you really not. Ang dami-dami mong ikinuquote para makitang scholarly yung pagkakagawa mo. Yung pala, puro sa memes mo lang nakuha yung mga kinuquote mo. It would be hypocrisy. Or if you're just avoiding hard work, pinakamadali, na mangopya ka na lang. Merong isang pastor, Bible ba pastor, na madalas siya makidiscuss sa akin, parang nagtatanong, gusto ko siyang matulungan, so binigyan ko siya ng isang buong commentary ng Romans. After several months, bumalik siya sa akin. Baka meron ka pang book. Na-preach ko na yung binigay mo sa akin, tapos ko na. Pinreach niya talaga chapter by chapter yung kanyang book. At sinubukan kong tignan yung kanyang panoorin. Hanggang ngayon, ganun pa rin siya. You can follow. Dun sa, pag nahula mo kung yung book niya, pwede mong i-follow. Bakit? That's laziness. Katamaran yun na hindi ka na, lalo na ngayon, may book na iaalok sa'yo, 900, are you a busy pastor? Here's 900 sermons for you to preach. That's laziness. It's just avoiding the word. But you would notice that all these sins are sins of the heart. And we have no capacity, we have no authority to judge somebody else's heart. Hindi ko mo, alam mong ang kanyang sinabi ay galing sa ibang source, iko-condemn mo yung heart niya. Due diligence must be exercised. Now, how do we deal with somebody caught using somebody else's work without giving due credit? Unang-una, determine the culpability. We may not be able to read the heart, but practice can be expressions of the heart. Isang pastor na discover na 3 years na pala siyang hindi gumagawa ng sermon. Kopya lang pala lahat without citation. Kaya pala, lagi ko siyang iniimbitang mag-preach dito, papayag siya, tapos magbabagong isip, ayaw na niya. Papayag siya, tapos maayaw na niya. It was discovered that he was not really making any study. And he was even copying pati yung illustrations. Yung illustrations sa kinopya niya, I was walking one snowy evening and my footprints can be seen on the snow. Sa kanya, I was walking one rainy evening and my footprints was seen on the mud, on the road. Talagang kinopya. So you have to remember, pagka ganon, you may not be able to see the heart, but you can more or less judge the motive of that heart. Why? Because of the excess ng kanyang ginawang pangopya. But yet appearances may not be an accurate basis for culpability. Meron, halimbawa, ang isang accusation sa mga graduate ng Trinity Ministerial Academy. Even among us, napag-uusapan namin yon. Pagkagaling sa Trinity Ministerial Academy, nagiging tunog Pastor Martin, yung outline nagiging Pastor Martin without even intending. Kasi we really benefited from Pastor Martin. We admire the way of Pastor Martin na nakukuha namin. When I was asked to preach in Trinity Baptist Church, sabi niya, pero dahil estudyante lang ako, first time ako magpe-preach sa kanila, nirequire ako ng isang pastor, si Pastor Barker, sabi niya, before you preach, you submit to me your outline. Sabi ko, okay. So I submitted the outline. Sabi niya sa akin, change your heading. You're not Pastor Martin. Sabi niya, change your heading. Hindi kasi Pastor Martin. At nawawala lang daw yun. Kasi pansinin niyo kahit sa ngayon yung pinaka primus inter pares na pastor ng churches, nakukopya. Malalaman mo, ay galing ito sa church si ano. Pareho-pareho siya ng style, ng words, ng... So sometimes appearance may not be an accurate basis for judgment. If someone is said to have copied somebody else's work, or if someone appeared to be copying somebody else's work, tingnan natin ang marami. Was it intentional? And the best way to do that is to call the attention. If admitted, oh, pastor, nakuha ko yun, kaya lang hindi ko na na-cite, o kaya wala talaga akong balak i-cite. Ginagawa ko yan sa mga nagpipreach dito na even from outsiders. Sabi ko, maganda yung ano mo, kaya lang yung word na ginamit mo, Tito, narinig ko yan kay ano. Pero just to warn him na baka mabawasan ng respect sa'yo kung patuloy mong gagawin yon. Sabihin mo na yung totoo. So was it intentional? Talaga bang intention niya na magpasikat? Intention ba niya talaga na kunin yung credit? If admitted, remind him, kung hindi man niya tanggapin at sinabi niya yung dahilan, nakalimutan ko, then remind him of what is proper and the danger of doing that. And we must also consider other reasons why someone would use somebody else's work. He's unaware. Alam niyo, if you've been preaching for so long, hindi mo na alam kung yung idea ay galing sa iyo o ito ay narinig mo sa iba at ito ay nasabi mo. Sometimes you will no longer be aware. Akala mo sa iyo dahil na-preach mo some time ago. I remember isang story na tinanong namin kay Pastor Martin noon. May nagbigay sa kanya ng isang kahon ng tape recorder, yung cassette recorder ni Tozer. Talaga na-delight siya. Pinakinggan niya ng pinakinggan. Araw-araw, mga 3-4. Pag nagda-drive siya, laging Tozer, yung nakalagay sa kanya. Then one time daw, nag-preach siya. Pagkatapos siya mag-preach, sabi ng asawa niya, sabi ng wife ni Pastor Martin, sabi niya, honey, that wasn't you. That was Tozer. Inanalyze niya, pinakinggan niya. Oh yeah, hindi niya alam na-absorb niya si Tozer. Hindi niyo pwedeng sabihin si Pastor Martin kasi may sariling pangalan niya, may sariling capacity. Kaya sabi niya, so what I did is, I throw away na ibig sabihin tinago lang yung mga book yung mga tape ni Tozer. So may maraming dahilan. O kaya, sometimes, when you quote, parang magiging string of quotation lang to. Kaya sometimes, iiwasan na lang. Sasabihin nila yan, somebody said, o minsan, mamimiss na yung somebody said. And also, you have to determine how much of the material is copied. Is it a line? Like when I say, it's between the devil and the deep blue sea. Nagpa-plagiarize si pastor. Hindi niya sinabi, hindi ko na alam kung kanino galing yun eh. Ang alam ko yung kanta ni Karen, Karen Carpenter, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Or, I always say, nabash na nga ako ng isang pastor na napaka-serious na matter daw. Ginagamit ako ng ganong illustration. Sabi ko, it always takes two to tango. Yun ang sabi ko. Sabi niya, napaka-seryoso naman yan para gamitin mo yan. Hindi ko alam kung kanino ko nakuha yun. The part that appeared to have been copied, is it common knowledge? Kung common knowledge na, if I would quote somebody from the songs of the Beatles, which I always did, I always do, at common knowledge na yun ay alam na ng marami, then I don't have to say, common yun. Or yung interpretation ng isang passage, which was clearly included in a sermon of a famous preacher, tapos ginamit ko, hindi ko kailangan siyang i-quote. Kasi we have the same source. Or yung frequency, kung tuwing tatayo ka ba, ang dala-dala mo, hindi sa'yo. Pare-pareho na copy sa iba. Or if there is already an appearance of evil, na talagang parang nagpapasikat ka na sa mga quotation, then there are so many things that we need to know and to establish before we can make a final verdict that you are sinning in your heart when you copied somebody else's work. Now, if found na meron talagang ill motive, meron talagang mali at intentional, even with malice, it must be publicly admitted, for the act is public. I preached that sermon, I should have told you that this is from so-and-so, but I did not, and I asked for your forgiveness. That's the only thing that must be done. Whether to admit malice or to explain kung bakit niya nagawa yung ganong bagay. And what I do is to constantly call the attention of the person, if that is a member of my church, and has always been copying, saying things. Marami akong narinig, marami akong, kahit sa mga presiders na idea ito ng iba, I just always remind or ask if kailangan, or ask if necessary. If persist after some reminders, after some trouble, pag nag-persist pa rin, I will disallow the person from preaching until he learns the lesson. But it never should be an occasion for a higher discipline rather than reminder and reprimand. Puwera na lang, katulad ng sinabi kong 3 years yung kanyang ginagawa, then that is the time that you can say that there is a wrong motive of the heart. Now, this issue speaks to both the one copied from and the one who copied. If your work is copied, we must rejoice that the truth you want to propagate spreads. I had an experience. I was asked to preach in a Bible Baptist church. Dahil yung pastor nila got converted with my ministry, nung bata pa siya. So sabi niya, magandang opportunity ito. Nung pagdating ko ron, nalaman, puro pastor yung mga nasa harapan, nalaman na Reformed Baptist ako, nagkaroon ng commotion. Sabi sa akin nung nag-invite, hindi ko nasabing Reformed Baptist yung magpipreach. Parang hindi nagustuhan ng mga Bible Baptist pastor. Sabi ko, ako okay lang kung makakasira sa iyo. Let somebody preach. Mauupo ako doon, I will participate. Sabi niya, hindi, ikaw ituloy mo. Nag-preach ako. Pagkatapos ko mag-preach, nagtakbuhan sa akin yung mga pastor, hinihingi yung outline ko. Sabi ko, nakuha na nung isa nung pastor na nag-invite sa akin Hinabol nila. Pinareproduce. Tapos inisa-isa nila. The following Sunday, yung pastor na nag-invite sa akin, binigyan ng off, doon siya umattend sa church ng isang bishop nila, doon siya umattend at nakinig. Tapos tumawag sa akin, sabi niya, Pastor, yung preaching mo, Hindi niya alam na nandun ako. Yun, eksakto yung pinreach. Pati yung lugar kung saan ka sumigaw. Yun din ang, ano gagawin ko? Ibo-broadcast ko rin sa kanilang church. Huwag yung pakinggan yan. Kinopya lang sa akin yan. Hindi niya ako in-acknowledge. If your work is copied, you must rejoice. The Apostle Paul rejoiced that the gospel he preached was preached by men who were not only plagiarizing, but also with evil motive. Paul said, some indeed preach Christ from envy and rivalry. Paano ko nasabi na galing sa kanya? Siya lang man nag-propagate sa mga Gentiles eh. Preach Christ from envy and rivalry, thinking to afflict me in my imprisonment. Here, Paul, we are preaching what you're preaching. Pero nag-respond si Paul, what then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed. In that I rejoice. And yes, I will rejoice. Hindi mo kakalabanin yung kumopya sa'yo. Rejoice. Magalit ka kung binago, binaboy, inalter. Pero kung eksakto yung pagkakapreach mo, ay mag-rejoice ka na yun ay kanyang kinopya. You know what is more evil? It is more evil to be more concerned of your honor and punish the one who copied by discrediting the person publicly before those who have benefited from what they have learned from that copied idea. Kinopya lang sa akin yan, pero teka, ang daming na-bless eh. Ang daming nag-comment, ang daming na-bless. Parang hindi, kinopya lang. Tapos magpo-post ka, huwag kayo maniwala dyan, kinopya lang yan sa akin. That is more evil. Yung truth na ipangaral, dapat mag-rejoice ka. Or if you're brave enough, confront the person who preached that same passage. Ba't mo naman hindi ako sinight? And not discredit the message itself. At bawiin mo doon sa mga taong nakinabang. And to those who believes they are victims of a plagiarizer, exercise love. Love believes all things. Do not make immediate conclusion. Galing sa akin yan. Kinopya yan sa akin. Kinopya yan kay ganun. But be brave enough. I-confront or keep your mouth shut. Dahil baka may nakinabang doon sa ipinangaral na yon. I know this would probably put me in trouble again for saying this. But it must be addressed. It must be addressed. Ang concern natin is the spread of truth. Let the motive of the heart be judged by the Lord. Or if you are brave enough, confront the person and present the biblical truth why what he did must be condemned. So, walang tayong time, pero kung merong kahit na ilang question lang, bakit pag ako ayaw nyo magtanong? Pag si Brother Roden, pinahirapan nyo ng katatanong. Jeremy? Kai? Patay na. Patay na siya. Nawala na siya sa Bible school. Pero namatay na siya talaga. Meron pang isa na lang meron pang isang gathering namin ng mga pastors. Kinuha nila ako para i-assess yung ginawa ko, na-assign ko sila, isa-isa magbibigay ng testimony, ng devotional. Yung isa ron, again, Bible Bap, isa ron na nagbigay siya ng napakagandang devotional. Pero medyo nagre-ring na yung ear ko. Sabi ko, ang ganda niya na. Anong komentary ginamit mo? Wala, pastor, akin lang to. Ako lang nag-formulate nito. Okay. Ayoko naman siyang embarrass. Siguro maya-maya, sabi niya, actually, kay John MacArthur yon. Sabi ko na alam ko mga words si John MacArthur. Okay, kung wala na, may encounter nyo to. I just want you to be able to answer. Na-encounter ko to, bakit sa inyo tinatanggap ang ganito? Ba't sa inyo tinatanggap ang ganito? But you must know. Kung meron kayong iba pang question, you ask me personally or PM me para masagot ito. Para sa akin, critical na issue ito dahil I believe hindi pa tapos yung issue na ito with our church. Okay? Let's pray. Father, we thank you that you are the God of wisdom and that wisdom should always be coming from you. We thank you for your word. May we be able not only to obey your word, but be able, Panginoon, na gamitin namin to sa aming pananaw sa iba. Salamat po, Panginoon, sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.